Hello, Rasika.
Hi, Ma.
எப்படி போயிட்டு இருக்கு?
Hectic again. உனக்கு தெரியும். This is my predominant escapade அப்படின்னு. So cut the clutter. So that's what it is.
I received some questions from some of the parents. Some I clarified then and there. Few I'm carrying it now. Maybe in a course of conversation we can discuss about that also. I'm very happy for you to suggest this topic, which I have mentioned in the Facebook today. Teenagers, in fact adults, often mistake obedience as slavery, right? நான் எதுக்கு அம்மா பேச்ச கேட்கணும்? நான் ஒரு ஆளுன்னு வளர்ந்துட்டேன், இதுக்கு மேல நான் அடிமையா இருக்கணுமா? You remember those words? It's a typical teenager thought process. But unfortunately, many carry that thought process even after the teenage. At least when you moved on from your teenage state, you realize that you were very silly asking those demands. But many are not moving out. Maybe it's a Western influence. How is obedience in your country?
See,
how do they take it?
Yeah, I would not call it Western influence per se. I can tell you from my generation's point of view and point of view of people around me. And I'll tell you, I'll first start with answering your question about how obedience is perceived in the Western world and how it is treated. So, in the Western world, the popular notion, particularly in countries where there is a predominant, where Christianity is the state religion and all those things. So the predominant notion is obedience to God. So obedience is a term or a phenomena that they only associate with God. And our culture, Indian culture, is slightly different. We treat our pitrus, our elders and ancestors, at par with the level of respect that we give to gods and everything. So there's a fundamental cultural difference in a way, in the way we treat people, we perceive people. So it comes from the fact that Western society and concept of relationships comes from the fact that man or woman, human, is fundamentally flawed. For us, man or woman is an element of God. Daivam manusha rupena. So we don't think of it as a flaw. So any sort of obedience or respect. So there is a lot of respect in this culture. In Western culture, if you see, teenage issues, hormones and emotions are always there everywhere. But there is a lot of respect in relationships, and there is a certain level of formality. So when you think about, see, your if you are grown up, if you are particularly elderly, and you, or rather married, if you look after your parents in the Western society, you are like, you're gem of a person. You are you're a born treasure or something like that, because people are expected to live their own lives. Particularly after marriage, you are only responsible for you and your kids till the time they are not settled, and there's still that clear boundaries that they draw. But for, you know what, when I was new, when I was fairly new in the UK, it was very strange for me. Like, people, when I used to go to communities back when I was in Colchester, and now here in London as well. When children bring something for their parents, see, they make a cup of tea or they pass on water or something, parents take it and say thank you. So that that was initially like, idikalama. This is something that you thank your child for. Is this so? That there is a clear understanding of space, personal space, and tacit difference. That is how from where that distance is where that respect comes from. So there is a degree of respect. There is a degree of formality which comes under manners in Western culture. So obedience is slightly different. It is like, it is only with God generally, if you are God believing in the Western society. And so going on from there, you possibly I'll put this, I'll speak for a few minutes about this and put this question back to you. The intention has always been, as a teacher, as a parent, as someone who interacts with the younger generation constantly in various capacities. You've seen, I think your Facebook post was also covering that thing, that why is obedience such a huge ask? Why is it such a huge thing? Like, people don't, if you expect obedience, it is treated as something wrong. You're expecting people to be subservient to someone. That is not the case. So that is what is probably the title of our topic. Obedience is not slavery. It is not being subservient. Obedience, what you have taught me, how you've raised me, and what I've learned interacting with the wider family and my teachers and other things. Obedience is respect in its purest form, respecting every individual, coming from the philosophy of Daivam Manusha Rupena, saying every individual is an element of God that has been sent into my life to teach me something. So value that person, get that lesson from them. Obedience, I would say there is a difference in the levels of obedience. So the level of obedience that I carry for, say, to some of you or some of my inner circles, I differentiate in that way. But the basic level of respect is always there. So there are some people, in our life that I only respect for their age. And there are some people in our lives, I can lay down my life at their one command. So that degree of obedience varies according to the depth of the relationship. But that basic obedience is like, for me, obedience is being prepared to learn. It is like surrendering, not exactly surrendering. I don't surrender my ego to everybody. I've got an ego, I should agree, which has helped me progress, because that has helped me develop enormous will persistence. So I do surrender my ego to you and my inner circles. But for me, that varying level of obedience is like, how much ego comes into play when I'm dealing with a certain person. So, but your upbringing has helped me evolve in a way that even when my ego is coming into play, when I'm dealing with a certain person, it doesn't come across that way. So they will still think I'm respecting them. That is one blessing in disguise which your upbringing has given me, because you always taught me to maintain that basic respect. So I find it a very healthy thing to be that in Tamil there is a word called ilichavai. I feel for some part of my childhood, some part of my life, I was ilichavai, and I could not differentiate between that. I could not realize the fact that you have to have various levels of obedience. So I was having blanket obedience in my early childhood and right up to my teens. But some things happened that taught me to differentiate, to have that levels of obedience, but always have obedience, but have different levels of obedience. So over to you. Why do you think obedience should prevail?
To me, obedience brings everything in life. To your teachers, to your guru, to your parents, one must be obedient. This doesn't mean that you don't have your individuality. Those who do not have their individuality will not obedient, all of them. When you struggle to make your own individuality, when you do not have an individuality but pose as if you have one, then you disobey all of them, is what my clear understanding. How I got this understanding? I got this understanding through life, many examples from my life and many others' lives which I witnessed and heard. I can give you some examples. This is my 21st year of service in teaching, right? From the first batch of 10th class, I remember 10th class, 12th class batches, 12th class when I moved to CBSE. I remember those students. It is never a student who stood first in school was really shining in life, really doing well with his life or her life. Sometimes some of them cracked IIT, topped IIT, then went on to the depression, then whatnot. I'm talking about the cream of creams. But the ones who are not that potential, in terms of potential is not, they do not have a potential. In terms of not making an effort to prove themselves academically, they were obedient and they are really, really doing good in their lives. When I see them in Facebook or when they take my number and tell me what they are doing and how much they are earning, I know a sister and a brother. Brother studies and very well. Brother was extraordinary in all aspects. Sister was a bit naughty and used to get all scoldings and blah blah blah. And brother doesn't like to be obedient. He likes to do what he wants to. Parents used to come and say, அவன் போக்குல விட்டுருங்களேன், நீங்க இது பண்ணு இது பண்ணாதன்னு சொல்லும் போதுதான் அவனுக்கு பிடிக்க மாட்டேங்குது, அவன் தான் எல்லாத்துலயுமே நல்லா இருக்கானே, அவனை அப்படியே விட்டுருங்களேன், is what they used to say. And when a parent is requesting not to mold a child, I feel sorry for the child, but I don't cross the limits. After this many years, maybe that was around 10, 12 years, 15 years before, when I see the girl child, she's doing really well. Because time and again she was naughty. She was called by teachers. Teacher of her class or the subjects which they handle, teachers of primary, teachers of kindergarten. She used to get good scoldings from many. Sometimes Aya, Akkas. Nobody spares. When she is naughty, they won and she was obedient. She used to say sorry and then she used to move on. But then it took time for her to mend herself. So I have seen her doing extraordinary. She has leadership qualities. She's growing good. Not only this sibling, the one who is obedient among my students is also good leader. They develop leadership qualities. This is a proven record in my career. Obedient doesn't mean you don't want to do something. Your parents force you to do something. For example, you have X is having a math phobia, physics phobia, but the parent feels if you don't take maths, physics, chemistry, biology, what will happen to my pride in the society? You have to take that. Even if you fail, you have to take that. Is that obedient? Students come and ask me. I really cannot do. And my parents, because of the social pressure, society pressure, and they create their own pressures and pressure me. So, do you want me to be obedient? That's what they ask me. I have to be strong to say that I cannot do this. I agree. When parent is influenced on many things and trying to influence you, order you to do something which you cannot do, or it's very tough for you to do or difficult to do, you have to sit, one should sit and have a conversation with parent. All said and done, you are their child. If you sit and explain your struggles, no parent is satisfied that they enjoy your struggles. They melt, they understand. Instead, if you raise your voice and ask them, நீ வாய மூடு, உனக்கு என்ன தெரியும், நீ என்ன படிச்சிருக்க, முதல்ல அதை சொல்லு, உன் படிப்பு என்ன, all those things, if these children started asking their parents, there is no end, you know. Obedience to me is a key, like obedience plays a key role in the lives of students, also to adults.
Agreed. And for me, I think that obedience has helped me do what I do in life. See, obedience, I see the fruits of having imbibed obedience, having been you know, raised to be obedient at this point in life, because obedience does not mean I don't put my foot down. As you said, I put my foot down where my values matter, my ethics matter, my self-respect matters. But that obedience also translates into understanding the situation, understanding the context, and seeing the bigger picture at all times in life. And obedience also see what I tell you, what qualities obedience has brought into my life. Obedience has given me enormous will persistence. Now you can ask, how can obedience be will? Your adamancy should be will. I am adamant. I've got a degree of adamancy. I should say this because you are here. You will. I'll have a nice thrashing over the phone if I don't say this. I have a level of adamancy, but not towards people that I need to listen to. So see, and even if I'm adamant to you or to someone else that I believe only can do good to me, and you are my inner circle, I need to listen to you. I actually give in because I have the faith in the greater good, that you know me better than I do myself. So that obedience gives you that sense of self insurance. Now you got life insurance, you've got property insurance, you've got to insure yourself. So this you Ramamami, these are all my circles where I've got self insurance. They insure me at various points in life. Janaki Patti, of course, I know she's in heaven, but she still insures me. Varat Tata, Appa, and so these are the places. These otherwise, I do put my foot down to all of you, but when you give me the reason why I should do a certain thing a certain way, I take it. So one of the things that I find one of the core reasons why my generation and after struggle to be obedient is that they don't know the right reasoning for things. So you are told something, you're expected to follow it like a blind follower, like a superstition. So one of the things that you lot, my inner circle, have done to me is you've always given me a reason. So when you've given me a reason, I have a new way of thinking now. Suddenly, I would not have thought on that perspective. Now I have a different perspective to think. And when you give me a reason, I feel valued. I feel like you are valuing me. You are not overwriting me. You are not kind of all over me. You're giving me. I mean that one of the reasons why children or people don't be obedient is they do not feel valued. Uh, they have the fear that their own value will diminish if they start being obedient இல்லாமலே நம்மள ஒரு 10 காசுக்கு யாரும் மதிக்கிறது இல்ல. ஒரு புண்ணாக்கு நம்மள ஒரு மரியாதையாவே நடத்துறது இல்ல. ஒபீடியண்டா வேற இருந்துட்டா இருக்கிற கொஞ்ச நஞ்ச. See, I'll tell you, I had that different experience in a different way in life. Let's get candid about this. I'm going to make some unpopular statements as well. So what I'm saying is, I remember the phase when I was Ilchavai. I used to be like, if anybody can say anything to me, I'll only go back and cry, but not, try and assert myself in any way. And we spoke about this phenomena the last podcast also. But the thing is, I'll tell you one thing. People who asked me questions for things that probably they were overthinking about did make me feel that what value am I having? I am spineless because I felt my upbringing with obedience made me so spineless that I cannot ask them, even when they are hurting me to the core. I cannot ask them the question that, why are you saying this? Why are you doing this? So now I'll come to a thing. You remember after my degree in TASE, I had a few months of a break. I took time off. That's because of mental health and various reasons. I got admission in the University of Edinburgh, but I couldn't manage to get the scholarship. So I was waiting for a better opportunity. So I had 1,001 reasons to take that break. And I needed that break. I spoke to you and Appa, all fine. Everything was all right. So you basically, if anyone was paying my bills at that point, it was you and Appa. And you both were okay. You got the reason of why I'm doing what I'm doing. Got it. Fine. Now, same way, inner circles, Ramama, Mama, me, everybody in the inner circle knew why I was doing what I was doing and why I needed that time out. They were all like, okay, whenever you come back, we know you'll come back well. So come back. And Mama used to give me assignments at that point to just keep me positively engaged and just not drawn into that dark phase. So you guys knew how to support me. You guys knew how not to keep me idle. I was never idle because of you people. You encouraged me in that way. But other people outside the inner circle, they came all the way and asked me a question as to why are you taking a gap? What have you done in life so that you're taking a gap? You're still taking a gap. What will people think about you? Amma and Appa are paying your bills. What is this? That all that stuff. Ultimately, it is my Amma and my Appa who's paying my bills. So they were not going to pay my bills. And they were so pained as though I was going to their doorstep with a begging bowl. Literally. And people who really cared about me, people who really knew me, did not take it in the wrong way. They knew what the context was. These people did not know what the context was. And the context was very personal to me. I did not want to go on telling that to everybody. But they came and questioned. After they came and questioned that, I went to Chennai. Appa was posted in Visakhapatnam at that time. We were in Visakhapatnam. I went to Chennai for a family function and then got an internship. Stayed there for about 6-7 months. And I got an internship there. I was working in ORF and all those things. So, but that time people didn't come back to say good job, or people didn't come back to ask me what I was doing, what I was engaged in. That moment they saw me, they were like, okay, Meena's daughter is not doing anything. So this is not good. I have to question. That was the only thought process they had. They had no forward or backward concern. And I bet you, they will not go around asking anybody else that question in this generation, because these kids will come back and say, what is your problem? For a long time in life, I wondered why did not I say that? What made me not to say that? That is because of that obedience I had for those people's age and their relationship, the family relationship hierarchy. I always.
I'm sorry to disturb you. You are completely mistaken. What is obedience? Obedience is respecting everybody, giving value to everybody. Okay? What you did was, you did not have your self-respect. You could not speak for yourself. You kept quiet when somebody is bullying you, and later felt bad. You had no answer to give it to them because of that. This, you cannot paint it as obedience. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, excuse me.
There are many people. They say, வயசுல பெரியவங்களாச்சேன்னு பார்த்தேன், இல்லைன்னா நல்லா கேட்டிருப்பேன். அவங்க நம்மளோட பொசிஷன்ல பெரியவங்களாச்சேன்னு பாத்துறேன், இல்லைன்னா நல்லா பதில் சொல்லியிருப்பேன். அப்புறம் அவங்க அளவுக்கு நம்ம இறங்கி போயிட்டு அப்புறம் அவங்களுக்கு நம்மளுக்கு என்ன டிஃபரன்ஸ்? அதனால அப்படியே நான் கொஞ்சம் கேட்டு வந்துட்டேன். சரி, all these reasons you are telling. Are you bothered? Are you not bothered? No, I'm totally bothered. How come they say like that? You're totally bothered inside. What are you saying? Projecting outside is excuses, right? This doesn't come under obedience, is what I'm trying to clarify. People mistake this. For example, if a child is obese, okay, the mother, father, child, all three of them are aware the obesity is not good, and they must be working for it, which you don't know. Why are you giving so much of food? Why did you keep so much of chips and biscuit packets at your house? See, she's eating and putting on weight. Why she's eating at untime? All these general comments people pass. Going to their house, they pass. Okay. This is bullying. If you really have a concern, you should talk to the child in front of the parents and say that these are all harmful food. If you like the chips, then I will make a chips in such a way that doesn't harm you. Will you taste it? Will you try? That will be an alternative. I'll work it for you. Then that is constructive way of correcting the child. You don't play any role in that child's life. But you always come for criticism. Which, if the child is taking it, do you call that as obedience?
No. Actually, Amma, can I take a minute?
No. I'm asking a question. Let me complete. You don't call it as a obedience, right? Then what it is? Child is taking, child's parents are taking that, swallowing it and keeping quiet. Is that obedience? Is that called decency? Then mother says, I felt very hurt, but என்ன பண்றது, நம்ம வீடு படியேறி வந்து பேசுறா, நம்ம வீட்டுக்கு வந்தவங்களை இன்சல்ட் பண்ணக்கூடாதுன்னு I kept quiet. See, these people, when they cannot say no, and when they cannot say don't bully, when they cannot say don't insult or don't harm us, they don't have a spine to say. Okay. Instead doing that, they say everything. They paint everything in obedience category. Category A, B, C, D, like that. They put it very, very conveniently. So if I am the mother of that particular child, I am, of course, if not in that category, I find the mother of that ex-child. I would definitely should say, thank you, ma. Thank you for your advice. But if you have to discuss about all those things, having a concern on my child, don't ever do it in front of the child again. Sorry, and I don't appreciate. I don't come to your house and advise you on the same in front of your child. That's not healthy. You see, I like you so much. I want our relationship, our friendship, whatever, to be continued. But not in this way. Right? Let's stop it here. Neither you cross your limit nor I cross my limit. If they get angry and leave, it's better. If they understand, it's even more better. That's how you take your life, right? When you cannot take your life like that, when you told somebody, some ex YZ commented on you that you are wasting your 1 year time, my parents are paying your bills and all this, blah, 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 blah. What are you supposed to react? You should give a smile. You should give a smile, which means you are telling them that you didn't hurt me because I didn't receive any of your words. I just bounced it. So you smile once and then say, don't worry, whomsoever you address, X, blah, blah, blah. If my mother or my father feel that I'm a burden, they will definitely tell me. Okay. And I have taken a short break. Once I start earning, don't worry about my parents. I'll give them a best life from my salary, which you will definitely witness. Thanks for the answer. Matter and say. If you either people do keep quiet and cry for lifetime, or people get up, shout on top of their voice, who are you to come and ask in my house? Did my father come and tell you? Did my mother come and complain to you? Why did you step onto my life? What job you have in my life? You don't know, other kids would have asked all those things, which is the again. You don't need to raise your voice to make yourself clear. Let there be anybody in your life, right? So, how, if that person is an adult, how do you show your obedience to them? You speak on those things that I don't like it, or this is not the way you have a conversation. If my appa comes to know, it will be a trouble to you and your relationship with my family. Let's stop it here. One word. And then offer a water, offer a tea or a coffee. Say thank you. Right? Why do we mix up with obedience and mess within ourselves?
That was what I was coming to say. At that point in time, I took it in that way. I took it as my spineless thing. But now, today, after all these years, this incident is about 6 or 7 years old. So after all these years and after all the kind of exposure that life has given me, I feel I should have stood up to myself. That was my foolishness at that point, that I didn't stand up to myself, despite having parents who are very, very self-respecting and who would have really understood and appreciated if I had actually stood up to myself. I know, I remember coming back to you and telling you this, and you said, why don't you have any self-respect? Why don't you stand up for yourself? Do you expect all your life Amma and Appa coming and standing up for you? So that was that thing. And today, why I narrated this incident was, at that point I thought obedience. That was a point in life when I thought obedience in life was my weakness. But today, as I said, that has created a multiple layer of qualities and leadership in me, and obedience has kept me closer to people. That's what I think so many people for such a long time in my life have kept me so close to their hearts is only because they appreciated that obedience that came out of love, that came out of devotion, that came out of genuine respect. So you must, I was narrating this incident only to say, differentiate that sometimes people feel obedient. Like uh, friends who studied with me in university here, some of them now married, and they're like, Indians got married to Indian families, although they and their spouse are settled here, families are still back in India, the same kind of culture. So they sometimes when we catch up, when we're talking like, என்ன சொல்றதுப்பா எல்லாம் அதேதான், இந்த மரியாதைக்கு பார்க்க வேண்டியதா இருக்குது, அந்த கல்யாணம் ஆன புதுசுல ஏதாவது சொல்லிட்டா மாப்பிள்ளை இப்படி சொல்லிட்டாங்க, மருமக இப்படி சொல்லிட்டாங்கன்னு பேர் ஆயிடுமேன்னு பார்க்க வேண்டியதா இருக்கு. நடக்கிறது என்னமோ அதுதான் நடக்குது. So at that context, they think that obedience நமக்கெல்லாம் ராங்கியா சண்டை போட தெரியாதுன்றதுனாலே கண்ணில் விரல விட்டு ஆட்டுறாங்க. Lot of girls who studied with me have said this. Indian girls.
That is what, Rasika, I will tell you one more example which happened in my school where I worked earlier. A boy of 9th grade gave back answer to the teacher. Who is right is different. The teacher was wrong or the student was wrong is different. There was a heated argument. The teacher brought the boy to me and said, "Ma'am, issue is different. Now my concern is this boy is raising his voice to me. I'm a teacher. You please warn him." The boy said, "Ma'am, she's wrong. Adamantly arguing, ma'am. She's wrong. She doesn't accept her mistake. I'm not her slave to be obedient." He said. I made both of them sit. And then I told about 1 or 2 stories of my childhood schooling with my teachers. With that, their mental imbalances were calmed down. Then I told, if a teacher, the teacher made a mistake also. Teacher is a teacher, right? Ma'am, I think this is wrong is what I feel. Can you please allow me to refer the textbook and tell you whether my doubt is correct or wrong? Is that okay with you? You ask like that. Sitting in a bench like this, "Ma'am, what you have written is wrong, ma'am. Check, ma'am. Check." This is not the body language with which your teacher. Right? So now it's time for you to ask apology to your teacher. Make it. He stood up and said, "Sorry, ma'am," and then went back to the class. The teacher said, "Ma'am, I thought you will punish him. You will call the parents and talk to them to have a good upbringing." I said, "The issue is over. You don't prolong it. Leave it in. Go to the class as if nothing happened." Because children forget. Adults, we should also forget about these issues. Then next day, father came and told, "Ma'am, my boy is a very bright boy." I said, "Yes. I want him to be a scientist." I said, "Okay, good. What he wants to be, he also wants to be a good scientist, ma'am." I said, "Fantastic, sir. What else?" "You are teaching obedience to him, ma'am. That will make him slave. That will not make him think in a larger perspective. Rational thinking will not come. He will not have a rational thinking if he is obedient and nods his head for everything to everybody, ma'am. Please don't teach obedience to my child." I said, "Which scientist said I was not obedient? That's how I made these many achievements. Can you name 2? Because I'm also reading biographies and biographies of scientists. Very few, of course, but I'm also reading. If you mention any 2, I will refer and learn. Which scientist said I was not obedient, that's why I achieved this?" No, ma'am. He's not a dog. And a dog should be obedient to the master. My son is not a dog, no? I said, okay. Why a dog should be obedient to the master or to the pet parents? Because the dog has no self knowledge of disciplining himself or herself. Right? So that obedience to be taught, to live with humans. What are we doing with our kids? Behavioral patterns are being corrected. If a child is playing with cutting plier or screwdriver or any other sharp object, when the child is in 5-6 years old, do you really feel obedience is bad? Freedom should be given. The child should test all those things. If the child harms, the child automatically will not touch. Let's wait and make the child get the experience. Are we going to say all these things and sit? We'll first take it from the child's hand and say, this is harmful. Don't do that. Right? These are all correcting the behavior patterns. Please do not mix up with obedience. A Shishya is obedient to the Guru. You have many references, many examples from our own Sanatana Dharma. Krishna Paramatma, he knows everything. He is a Purnavataran. He landed to this planet Earth as Krishna and was very, very obedient to Santipini, his Guru. By then, he proved what he was. Govardhana Giridhara, Kalinga Narthana. Many Arakis were being killed. Every day, his life was one challenge. Every day, he was casually playing and proving himself that he is an extraordinary, not an ordinary human being. Still, when he went to the Guru, he was obedient. He didn't show Vishwarupam to Guru and said, you listen to me, I don't listen to you. Right? When Krishna was obedient, who are you and me? That's what I speak to the children on Krishna Janmashtami celebrations. Now, one more point I wanted to say when I didn't want to interrupt when you were speaking. You were obedient because I was explaining why you had to do this, right? I think I understand it differently, Rasika, because you should not accept because I'm giving reasons. That's not correct sense. That's not our Sanatana sense also, in my understanding. No, you should not accept just because I'm giving reason. What will happen is, in future, to convince you, I can create any reason. Okay. What a child or a student should do is, you should trust your Guru, you should trust your parents and accept what they say. And when they give an explanation, you take it. When they don't give an explanation, you find out from your own experience. This is the right sense, I feel. This is not slave. When a student is obedient to the teachers, obedient to the parents, they learn better. The teachers and parents shower their experience on that particular child. See, I am 48 now, right? After the fracture, I couldn't continue my dance class, which I'm hoping that soon I will restart. My dance madam, Renuka madam, used to say, though because of obesity and quite a lot of long gap in dance, I take many breaths to do whatever. She used to mention, you know what is driving you, Meenakshi? நான் உங்களை பத்தி நிறைய எக்ஸாம்பிள் என்னோட இப்ப இருக்கிற சின்ன குழந்தை ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கு எல்லாம் சொல்லுவேன். என்ன சொல்லுவேன் தெரியுமா? நீங்க ஒரு ஒரு அடவு பண்றதுக்கு, ஒரு ஸ்டெப் பண்றதுக்கு, ஒரு விஷயத்த பண்றதுக்கு 6 ஆர்கியூமெண்ட் வைக்கிறீங்களே, அந்த ஸ்டூடெண்ட் வந்து ஒரு ஸ்கூலுக்கு பிரின்சிபாலா இருக்கா, இது தப்பு, ஏன் பண்ண, 2 வாட்டி சொன்னதுக்கு அப்புறமும் காதுல வாங்கலையே, கரெக்டா பண்ணு அப்படின்னு சொன்னா சாரின்னு சொல்லிட்டு பண்ணுவா. இல்லையே, நான் இப்படிதான் போட்டேன், நீங்க தான் பாக்கல, நான் ரைட் லெக் தான் தட்டினேன் மேடம், நீங்க ஏன் பாக்கல, என்னெல்லாம் ஆர்கியூ பண்ண மாட்டேன். Once she told this, I think last Vijayadashmi or before that, I don't know. This quality made her teach me, if I miss a class, night 9:30. That's her personal time, right? Anyway, the music teacher also, when I skip many classes due to my hectic work schedule, she makes herself free according to my timings and then she teaches. Always one should be a student is what I believe as well. Obedience is a key for you to, learn. And that obedience brings gratitude in you and that brings success. What do you say?
Yeah. So I was going to say something, continue what you were saying. But before that, let me clarify. I did not mean to say that I got convinced because you gave me reasons. But the reason I kept my obedience, or I had the pleasure of, fostering, nurturing obedience, is because we had that conversation. We had that, see, that the conversation is key. Like not giving out reasons or giving out reasons or giving out commands is two facets of the same coin. It can spin around in any way. So we had, for all the greatness he had, for me in my life, Ramu Mama is Ongi Valahalanda Perumal. Okay. But when he says something to me, when he gives me life advice, when he gives me career advice, when he gives me health advice, when he gives me comments, feedback about my research, or when he asks me to, join up in some part of his research, he actually has a conversation with me. Like he says, this is where I'm coming from. What do you think? Where are you coming from? So let's do this. He doesn't give me any reason. I will not ask him for, even if he tells me sun rises in the west, I will say, yes, Mama, sun rises in the west. I'm not saying this to exaggerate things, but I will, because he is my Ongi Valahalanda Perumal.
Yeah, I will say this. There is a short story. I'm adding to this. Krishna Paramatma and Arjuna were walking after the Mahabharata Yuddha. And Krishna says, hey Arjuna, look at there is a white crow flying. Arjuna looks there and says, yes Krishna, how beautiful. Then Krishna says, no, it is black. Just because I say white, why did you say, yeah, it's beautiful? It is black. To your eyes, definitely it is black. So Arjuna says, why Krishna? If I say no, it is looking black. You have the capacity to make it white. You have the capacity to do anything in this planet Earth and beyond that. Now, why do you have an argument with you? My aim in life is obey 100%, whatever you say. If I have any doubts, I ask. I'm not asking doubts because I don't want to do. I'm asking doubts to obey deeply, in a better way, better sense. That is how I think one should be with our people.
Yes.
Right?
So the reason why I'm saying this is, Ananapatta Ramu Mama feels the need to have a conversation with me. He can give me any command. I will take it. I will bow by my head. But he feels the need to have a conversation with me when he is assigning some task, or when when he wants me to do things in a certain way, or when I ask him for some advice. And the same thing I think should be done. Not giving out reasons or giving out commands, but having a conversation, getting perspectives, getting your perspective, getting their perspective. That opens up schools of thought, rooms of thought. And I will say one thing: my physical existence begins from you. My vidya, my education, and my virtues are the gift of my teachers. My knowledge, or the jnana, or the mission that I carry for my life, is from Ramu Mama. So all three of you, Astitva, Vidya, Jnana, you've given me all three of these gifts. So you have my complete obedience. Although I argue with you, you will say, "Hey, I'm not like Amma Sharanagadi," because our friendship is the basis of our relationship. That conversation is the heartbeat of this relationship. So I try and have that conversation in various forms. It is not that ultimately you win. It is demonstrated by the fact that you win in every conversation, because that is obedience. That is a form of surrender. Different forms of surrender expressed in different ways. But coming to what you said about gaining that trust, parents, teachers, and elders gaining that trust. I think that is important. You have to earn that trust, like what we said in one of our previous podcasts. You have to earn that thing from the child. You have to earn that trust. And I will give you some examples of people in my life who have earned that trust. Of course, but I'll give you other examples as well. And I'll try and give slightly different examples, because the breadth of my life, I've met several people. I want to acknowledge most of them through these podcasts, in the opportunities that I get. So I will, within family, one of the classic examples of gaining that trust and obedience through that trust, apart from Ramu Mama, Janaki Party, and the usual my perennial support systems that I talk about. One interesting example is Rangaswamy Peripa. Not many people would think of Rangaswamy Veripa in that way, because he's a very jovial man, he's a very simple man, he comes across very down to earth. You never know what his background was. Most of the people in the family know they were in Perima Peripa were in Delhi for a long time. Peripa was working as an engineer, and then after they came back after to Chennai after he retired. This is how much most of the people know. But Rangaswamy Peripa is the first person in the family to have done BTech from NIT Surathkal and MTech from IIT Madras back in the late 60s and 70s. And he worked for a body called Engineers India Limited. It is a consultancy for the Petroleum and Natural Gas Ministry. So like Niti Aayog is a consultancy for government, that Engineers India Limited, that syndicate, is the thing that does the strategy and thinking and development of Petroleum and Natural Gas Ministry projects. So that he retired in a senior position from there, and he continues to work even after they've come to Chennai. He does consultancy and all those things. So thing is, why I'm saying this is that Peripa, who is extremely logical and intellectually very active, like he can almost, I bet you, solve any crossword in the world. And it came to certain stage that Rangaswamy பேர் பார்த்தா gift கொடுக்க மாட்டான், prize கொடுக்க மாட்டான் in the vaccines. So he used to collect all other people's addresses and fill it out. I remember when I was back in Tuljapur, I used to get prizes and all that for Peripa would have solved those crosswords in my name. But then the thing is, the same Rangaswamy Peripa, we all know when we interact with him how humble and how down to earth he is. Jovial he is. You can never say he was such a big man. And when I was in Chennai, that 6 months duration, when I was doing that internship, when I stayed with Uma Perima also stayed literally 5 minutes away. So we used to see each other almost every day on a regular basis. But when I was taking that break, when I was having that downtime, everybody had this at the back of their mind, that I should come back, I should get out of this rut, I should get out of this phase, progress and prosper in life. But the different ways in which people, people gave me suggestions, people gave me opportunities to come out of this. Like, what when I got that ORF internship, Peripa's area is chemical engineering, very, very far from anything I will ever do. But I used to go work in an office Saturdays, and rest of the days I used to work from home. That was the arrangement. And every time we met, he used to ask me, what is your research? What are you working on? Give me the context, give me the background here and there. He used to read something in the internet about it and send stuff to me, or say, that, all those things. So that when someone like him who is interested in that sort of thing, who can step out of his way to come out of his comfort zone, to contribute to the work that I do, respect the work that I do, when he tells me something, when he gives me a certain suggestion, I take it. And I have deep obedience towards him, not because he is a big shot, because whatever his achievements are, whatever his accomplishments are, he's invested in me. He's invested in my success. He gives me that time. He gives me, one of the things that that I feel is actually giving time, investing in your child's success is what gains their obedience, is the basis of that obedience. Like, for example, I'll tell you just a continuation of that. Back when I was in university, I used to write research papers and upload to academia. Yeah. So when I upload stuff to academia, he used to download and read all of them. I bet you he's read all of my papers. And all of my papers have either been about politics, economics, history, blah, 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 nothing ever related to him. But he's read every one of them and given me feedback. In the area purila, next time or in the area purinjது, easier இருந்தது. So those kind of things. So when you, I remember there was one paper that I uploaded to academia on Kashmir situation way back in 2014. So things might have changed after that. But, that was an 80-page long paper. And he completely read it, and gave me some useful feedback from there. So I uploaded it when I was in third year. So BA third year. So those kind of things, when they make that effort to respect your work, to get to know you, that obedience automatically comes. Now, one word Peripa says, I will listen, because I know he has put in that effort. அவர் ஒன்னும் தெரியாம கண்ண காட்ட விட்டு சொல்லணுமேங்கிறதுக்காக வந்து சொல்லல. அவர் உண்மையிலேயே இதை பத்தி ரிசர்ச் பண்ணி என்னை பத்தி தெரிஞ்சு என்னை பத்தி புரிஞ்சு அவர் சொல்லியிருக்காரு. So that is how I think you command that obedience of the younger generation. Stay invested in them. I know one of the questions that came to us off the back of parenting podcast was how to keep your children engaged. We need to have some distraction for them. We need to keep them occupied.
Can you please read that question? Vishak Mama sent, I believe, right?
I am not. I'm not sure I have it right now. But the essence of the question was, how do we keep children occupied? Because in the midst of all of this.
Is that the question sent by Vishak Mama? That's the question you're
talking? Yes. So I actually kept thinking about it for a long time. But one thing I found useful in my life was people giving up their time for me, people spending time with me, that quality time, those quality conversations. See, conversations ன்னு நம்ம பேசுறோம், but people might ask, இந்த காலத்துல எந்த குழந்தை பேச போனாலே ஓடி போறாங்க. ஏன் பேச போனாலே ஓடி போறாங்கன்னா, உங்களுக்கு அவங்கள பத்தி தெரியாது, அவங்களுக்கு உங்களை பத்தி தெரியாது.
அது மாத்திரம் இல்ல, சாரி, குழந்தைங்க வீட்டுல இருந்தாங்கன்னா டேலண்ட் எக்ஸிபிஷன் பண்ணியே ஆகணும். நீ ரைம்ஸ் சொல்லு, நீ ஸ்லோகன் சொல்லு, நீ பாட்டா பாடு, நீ டான்ஸ் ஆடு. இது இன்டர்வியூக்கு வந்த கொஸ்டின் கேட்கற மாதிரி எல்லாம் கேட்கணும். அது வந்து ஐ எம் ஹைலி டேலண்டட், ஐ எம் ஹைலி அபவ் ஆவரேஜ்ங்கிறத அந்த பெரியவங்களுக்கு ப்ரூவ் பண்ணியே ஆகணும். சச் அ சிக் மென்டாலிட்டி.
சோ
நீ ஒரு குழந்தைய எப்படி என்ஜாய் பண்ணணும்? அந்த குழந்தையா இருக்கிறத தூரமா நின்று பார்த்து என்ஜாய் பண்ணணும். அது பாட்டு பாட வச்சு அதுக்கா மூடு இருந்து மயில் மாதிரி, அதுக்கா சந்தோஷம் வந்து ஆடினா பார்த்து ரசிக்கலாம், அதுக்கா சந்தோஷம் வந்து பாடினா கேட்டு ரசிக்கலாம். இல்லையா, நீ பாடு. இதெல்லாம் கெஸ்ட் வந்தாலும் இதெல்லாம் நமக்கு ஒரு பனிஷ்மெண்ட் இருக்குடா சாமின்னு உள்ள ஓடி போயிடாது. ஜஸ்ட் வந்து டிங் டாங்னு பெல் அடிச்சா எட்டி பார்த்துட்டு யாராவது ஜஸ்ட் உள்ள ஓடி போயிடும். எதுக்கு நம்மளுக்கு டேலண்ட் டெஸ்ட் வைப்பாங்க அப்படின்னு. This is what happening in our
Yeah.
families.
So what I'd say is give them time. So when you start giving them time, when you read books to them, discuss whatever interests them, avangaloda life la, see, one of the good practices that we had, both you and me, or whenever I meet any relatives, one of the good practices that we have is, how was your day, what happened today, what is happening generally in life. So ask your child after they come back from school what happened during their day, and tell them what happened in your office. I mean, it is not like ஒன்னும் அவ்வளவு ஒன்னும் கடத்தலோ கொள்ளையோ திருட்டுத்தனமோ பண்ணிட்டு வரல, அப்படி யார்ட்டையும் சொல்லக்கூடாதுங்கிறதுக்கு வேலையை தானே பார்த்துட்டு வந்திருக்கீங்க. So you share your work with them, share your career with them, share your journey with them. I remember some of our deepest conversations have been your challenges at work that you spoke to me about. இந்த மாதிரி நடக்கிறது, இது மாதிரி எனக்கு I'm not liking this, or I'm liking this, or I'm struggling with this. So when you talk about those things, again, you're allowing me to play a role in your life, which means I have the confidence to allow you to play a role in my life. That is what happened with every inner circle relative that I mentioned. So at some point in our lives, they've actually spoken to me very openly, very candidly about personal life, professional life, some of the challenges that they are facing, and say, hey, இந்த மாதிரி இருக்கு, என்ன பண்ணலாம் சொல்லு, உனக்கு ஏதாவது தோன்றதா, உனக்கு ஏதாவது ஐடியா தோன்றும். So that actually said, it is mutually contributing to each other's lives. It is not, most of the times when why people fear conversations is, நம்மள எங்க தப்பு கண்டுபிடிச்சிருவாங்களோ, நம்ம சொல்றதுல ஏதாவது ஒரு மிஸ்டேக் கண்டப்பட்டு நமக்கு லெக்சர் அடிக்க ஆரம்பிச்சிருவாங்களோ. கிளாஸ் ஸ்பீக்கரம் அப்படின்னு தெலுங்குல ஒண்ணு இருக்கு, அது எப்படி வேற லாங்குவேஜ்ல நான் டிரான்ஸ்லேட் பண்றேன் எனக்கு தெரியாது. பட் கிளாஸ் ஸ்பீக்கர்ஸ் that fear. But it make them realize it is not about that. It is about sharing. When you start picking up on a simple point like how was your day, and when you start sharing when you start opening up more about yourself, they feel more confident. I bet you on the face of the earth, if someone knows most things about you, that is me. That gives me enormous confidence. That is the confidence that every child should have about their parent, or every person should have about their inner circles. Like, I know if there's something challenging going on in life or career, most of our relatives will actually give me a ring, message me, come to me, say, hey, this is happening, what do you think about this? I know I have that, they have that freedom with me, and I have that freedom with them. Like, whenever I'm in a soup, I randomly ring up people, and I'm like, Perima, Peripa, Mama, Mami, Tata Pati, this is happening. What do you think about this? So that kind of space, create that safe space. When you create that safe space, obedience automatically arises. And you mentioned a few days ago.
I have seen first standard 3:30 child comes back from school, 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock dance class, 5:15 to 6:15 party class, 6:30 to 7:30 karate class, 7:45 to 8:30 or 8:45 one more blah blah class, 8:45 to 9:30 study, then sleep. Is it a machine, robot, or a human child? What will happen is, when the child reaches to 4th or 5th or 6th, the child is totally exhausted without a childhood. When a child misses his or her childhood, that child is equivalent to the child who had undergone trauma in childhood. Like trauma, what I'm saying is, have seen drastic turbulence in life, like parents are being killed in terrorism because of terrorism, or otherwise both parents had an ugly fight in front of the children and got separated, or one died due to accident and the child had seen all these very greater turbulence lifestyle children, how they behave, when they are in 5th or 6th grade. It's total imbalance. This child also will have. Because these children are not given enough time to explore by themselves. If you allow a child after 3:30, give some food, freshen up, allow the child to play however they want, right? If a child is taken to a swimming pool, you should not dictate, go straight, come straight. Do butterfly strokes, do this stroke, do that stroke. Then you can do that. You can train the child. In such a case, have 2 hours. 1 hour for the child to play in the water, 1 hour for your instructions. Such way, always instruction and instruction and instruction, the child loses its own experience of being himself or herself. And that child will not be a bright child in future. That intuitive spirit of the child will not be explored at all. Because at home, if you allow a child to be on their own, what they do? They take some kitchen karandi, patram, ting, 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 they do because they are seeing mother or father doing that. Or they take some paper and simply write something, sign, because they have seen the parent doing that. It is purely role modeling. If a child is rolling on the road and asking to give whatever he wants or she wants, it is the parenting is wrong. Because you taught the child, I will not say yes until you roll and ask, right? So it's all about bad parenting, where we also learn as parents that this is a mistake, we have done it with the elder child. We bet this is not to be done with the younger child. We should not beat. We should have another mechanism, right? So we are also learning. You know, Rasika, there are many courses, B.Ed, teacher training, Cambridge teaching and learning courses. Worldwide, there are IB courses. There are many teaching learning courses are there. Did you find any one course for parenting for parents? Because parenting, to me, parenting is like bhakti. You will not conduct a course how to become a bhakta. You will learn, say, Tirupavai, you will learn Tiruvambavai, you will learn Tirupugal, and you will learn Abhirami Andadi, or you will learn Hanuman Chalisa, and bhakti automatically flowers, right? So, in the same way, you have a child. What is your intention? Intention is to understand that God has gifted this child to you, and you are the person who should play a crucial role in the child's life. You are not owner of the child, but you are the parent of the child. Parents are not owners, right? So with that context, if a parent is upbringing a child, then automatically it flowers, because I do not believe doing this way is correct parenting or doing that way is correct parenting. No, it differs from child to child. If X method A is successful for Rasika in parenting, that doesn't mean it is universal for everybody. There are many methods. You have to see, you have to use your intuitive spirit, choose the method and apply it for your child. Right? That is what is right parenting is all about, in my understanding. Allow the child to be. Allow the child to be is not that to allow the child to glue to the screen, any screen, TV or mobile or laptop or whatever gadget. No, that's not what we are talking, right? So this is what I understand.
Yeah.
You also had a plan, right, Rasika, for children? We were mentioning something.
Yeah. I'll come to that in a bit. I'm going to talk about that in a bit. Coming back to our obedience. It's not just parenting, obedience with teachers. That is one thing I am so pained about, because I see that declining in the society as a whole. And I cannot bear to see that, because I cannot dream of myself or my friends doing that to our own teachers at any point. Now, you may say your relationship with the teacher varies, your experiences with various teachers varies, and all that stuff. But the as I just said a little while ago, they are the source of your vidya, your samskaram. So you have to have that obedience to learn anything. Unless you have obedience, you cannot learn. Obedience gives you the openness and the will to learn. So that learning,
I agree.
yeah. So anytime you have to, unless you are obedient to the teacher. I'll give you one example. There is a story of Sukumara Kavi in Sanskrit. So he actually said a piece of poetry. So but he was a 8-9-year-old boy, and he died because of Agni Pravesam, being in Agni. That is because this Sukumara Kavi, story credits to Gokulan sir, this Sukumara Kavi, he went to a Gurukulam. He came from a very poor, impoverished family. He did not have any means to give any Gurudakshina, but he was a very bright, brilliant boy. So the Guru took him under his wings, and he showered him with enormous love and grace. So what happened was, and he was picking things up fast. He was an Ekasanta. One time he picks up, and other boys in the Gurukulam were getting jealous in some way. And they were like, I've been here for so many years now. This Kalka Bacha is dominating me, and he is becoming the favorite of the Guru. Now this is not possible. So, what they do is they fabricate a story to make the Guru believe that he did something that was adharma, and the same way they make that Sukumara believe that the Guru is partial towards them. They keep injecting that, saying bad things, that Guru is doing this. Guru is trying to exploit you. Guru is trying to snub you because you are more talented. So Guru wants to keep you under him and snub you and all those things. So this Sukumara, because of being constantly fed in negative things, he got influenced, and this Shishyas, they gave they instigated him to such a level that he took a knife and went to kill the Guru. So the Guru saw him, and because that was also because, in spite of showering him all the love and the pampering, the Guru also used to physically beat him, give him a lot of dandam dashagunam bhavet. He used to use the dandam very liberally. He used to give him, for smallest of mistakes, other mistakes that he would have forgiven the other Shishyas, he would never forgive Sukumara as well. So all these things came back to his mind. He was playing like Guru is really partial, and all those things. He went to kill the Guru. Guru spotted him when he was about to say, Sukumara, why are you doing this? What? So Sukumara kind of vented out. Say, look, this is what it. Guru actually cried at that point, and he said, Ayo Sukumara, what are you thinking? I was very particular that I have to channelize you correctly, because you are a prodigy. You are my best Shishya. I had so much love for you, but I did not want to pamper you in a way that you will be spoiled. I was kind of mentoring you. You did not understand it correctly. And Guru made him realize his love for Sukumara. And Sukumara was extremely guilty when he realized it. And he was like, he asked the Guru, what is my punishment as per the Dharma? So Guru said, if you do Guru Ninda, or if you disobey the Guru as per the Dharma, your punishment is to self-immolate, die a death by Agni Pravesam. So he said, Sukumara set himself in the Agni. Guru tried to say that I forgive you, Sukumara, don't do this. You have the Guru Kshama. Don't do. Sukumara was so guilty at this point. He was so ashamed that he did not heed. So at that time, what the Guru did is, even at that time when Sukumara was going into the Agni, Guru did mantropadesham to Sukumara in a way that, Sukumara, tell this mantra and Agni will not burn you as so badly. You will not face that physical torture during being burnt in the Agni. So that is the grace of the Guru. When your teacher wants to shower you with grace, when you come to kill him and he is still forgiving you, but if you want to be repentant, he also wants to make sure that the punishment is not painful. So he gave the mantropadesham. Sukumara chanted that mantra, and while he was getting burnt in the Agni and getting burnt into ashes, that was the time he recited his kavya. So Sukumara's first and last kavya was in the stuti, was in the praise of the Guru and how a Shishya should be, because he wanted to make this as a lesson to the world. So he was telling this poetry, Sukumara Sataka, when he was actually being burnt for his sin. So that is the place that Guru holds, obedience holds in our society. And I am very proud. I will flaunt this for the entire life of mine and upcoming Janmas to come, that I had the best gurus, best teachers one can have. And to be able to experience that kind of love and grace, to be able to experience that kind of love and grace, you should be obedient. And one of the reasons why all of us, me and my classmates, are successful in life is we've been able to realize the value of that obedience. We've been able to realize the love and trust that we had for our teachers. As I said in the last podcast, even if they said something to us, even if they punished us in a certain way, we would never come and tell our parents, because they would create an issue. And so those kind of things, we went out on trips with them. We used to sit with them, chat, talk, have conversations. One of the best way that we are 16 of us in our batch. Our teachers individually gave time to all 16 of us, and we had conversations. Like, if you gather 3 or 4 people of my batch with me in this podcast today, they'll be able to give you different distinguished experiences out of their own one-to-one conversations that they've had with these teachers. They let them into our lives. They let us into their lives because we trusted them with our lives. So that is how that symbiotic relationship happens. So that again, that thing is up to teachers, up to elders, up to family members, parents, to gain that thing with the students or children or whatever. So it is a two-way relationship. It's like a clap. You need both hands to clap. You can clap with one hand. You can only tap with one hand. If you need to fully clap, you need both hands. So it is a two-way relationship. It is that those values, those conversations. Nowadays, I don't think many teachers can make that kind of time to have one-on-one conversations with their students, build that one-to-one relationship. I know, I can ask you this as a parent. You know how much my teachers knew about me and how well they knew me. They knew my problem even before I knew I was in a problem. And can you say that today, how many more people in the world teaching structure can do that? That is also another question, right? I wouldn't say people will be unwilling to do that, but practical logistics, possibilities, different kind of things come into play. So, for example, I had a learning difficulty, math difficulty. I was very, very poor in math when I was in school. And I was not able to learn and follow along with other students. So, Ramkrishna sir, for 3 years, he took one-on-one classes for me in the free period, to from the basics, from the basic addition to subtraction, multiplication, division, to whatever syllabus we had to cover, algebra, mensuration, blah blah blah. 3 years he took one-to-one classes for me. He taught me at my pace. He took the time to understand where I was struggling and how he had to address my difficulties. He was not paid extra for that. He was not requested to do that or anything. He just did it because he was my teacher and he couldn't see me struggling. So, and that was his only free period in the day. And he used it up for me. He could have done his own correction. He could have relaxed for a bit. So that contribution again is what gains that obedience. Now today, after doing so much for me, if that same Ramakrishna sir just puts a hand, just gives me a backhand, I wouldn't mind it. I'm like, thank you, sir. Next time jarakunda chuskuntanu. That's what I can say. And it is an extreme badge. It is a badge of honor that even today, if my teachers feel I'm doing something wrong, they can say what they feel appropriate to me, and they can give me a backhand at will, and I'll take it with my head bowed. But my head only bows to them, not to the rest of the world. So where you bow your head, where you surrender yourself, that level of obedience is again what we are talking about. But this is one thing that I'd appeal to both students and teachers. Let each other into your lives. That is how this crisis of lack of respect or lack of value is going to get resolved, because you will not realize the value that a teacher brings to your life unless you have a teacher like that in your life. So that is what I wanted to say. Do you want to add?
Okay. So can we conclude?
Yeah, I think it's good time to conclude, but yeah, nice little chat about obedience. But yeah, let's conclude by saying that, after that parenting episode last week, I've been thinking about this. Or over the past few podcasts, I've been talking about family and people who contributed to my life, who've made my life richer, and my experiences and all those things. One thing suddenly hit me. Now I can be the one who is talking about it, but after me, who will be talking about all these things? So then for the next generation, because I'm talking about these people and these things because they gave me time, they mentored me, they nurtured me, they are invested in me still. So the same way, I'd like to be invested in people. I'd like to support them. I'd like to be their support system. I'm not going to give them advice, or I'm not going to give them command as we spoke. It's just like I want to be their support system, their sounding board. If they've got some thoughts that they need to bounce off, they need some ideas on certain things, particularly the younger generation. Age no bar, small children, adolescents, teens, anybody who, and I'd be delighted if that is from the family. Anybody from the family, cousins, children, anybody wants to reach out to me. If I can be their sounding board, if I can be someone that they'd like to talk to occasionally, to what's happening in their lives, how they can take. It can be from anything, personal issues, career issues, anything that they want to decide, or anything that they just want to run past. I'd be more than happy to play the role that these elders played in my life, in their lives. So I just want to pitch it out there. Anybody, in fact, but particularly family members listening to this, if you want to reach out to me, I'd be more than happy to be your support system, so that the legacy of this family continues, legacy of this parampara continues in a way that even after me, there are people to talk about, these values for the generations coming after that. So anybody, school children, college, teens, anybody, please feel free to reach out to me, particularly from family.
Okay, Rasika, that's so nice.
So
yes, we had a good time talking about all these things.
Yeah, I need to run as well. I've got a meeting in another 15 minutes, so I need to run as well. So let's call it a day. Bye bye, and I'll see you when I see you in the next podcast.
Okay, bye.
Bye.